Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Unstoppable Mindset. And today we get to have a conversation with Anthony Cudjo. And Anthony, of course, Anthony was just telling me that his last name has been pronounced in so many interesting ways, like, of course, Cudjo, which we all know from the movie and the book, but it is Cudjo. So don't anybody get it wrong. Anthony, yeah, right. Anthony is the creator of Human Optimization 3.0, and he's often called Coach, and we're going to really learn about that. Coach Cudjo. That's hard to say fast. Coach Cudjo. Yeah, see, it is hard to say fast. But Anthony, we're really glad that you are here, and welcome to Unstoppable Mindset.
Michael, it is an absolute pleasure to be on the show. Unstoppable Mindset. That's kind of the foundation of everything, to be honest with you. So no, man, thank you so much for allowing me to come on the show and potentially share some perspectives that potentially could expand the vision and the knowledge of the listeners.
Well, it's my honor to have you on, and I know we're all looking forward to it, and we'll get into all of that. And I definitely do want you to have the opportunity to impart wisdom and so on. But let's start. Tell us about the early Anthony growing up. I always love to start that way because it's kind of fun, and we learn about you before you became what you are, or maybe you always were. But anyway, love to hear about you growing up.
Yeah, well, of course, I was a military brat, if you will. My father was in the military. He served for 31 years faithfully as a soldier. So we had the pleasure of moving around every 3 to 4 years. I was born in Shawnee, Oklahoma, which is a very small town in outside of Oklahoma City.
My father was born in Dewey, Oklahoma. So.
Oh, then small towns. Dewey is a small town as well.
Yeah.
So I was born there, and then of course I think I was about maybe 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old. We moved to Europe for a while. My dad was stationed in Germany, Hanau, so we were there for a while. We moved from Germany to Alaska. I lived there for 7 years, and and then we ended up coming back to the mainland, if you will, to the States. And my dad ended up retiring in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and ended up coming right back to Oklahoma where he was born. So he retired there, and that's kind of where my life actually really started, as far as me understanding who I was, what and what I should be doing on this planet.
So what year were you born? I'm nosy.
Oh, no. It's not a problem. I was born in 1965, October 18th, 1965 at 2 a.m. is when I entered this physical body and I came to this physical planet.
Well, I was born on February 24th, 1950 at 5:13 in the morning. So we're both early risers. What can I say? When I was born 2 months premature, so I guess I was in a hurry.
Yeah, you were definitely an early riser.
Yeah, there you
came
go.
Before your time. You actually came before your time.
Must have having been put in an incubator and retina's not developing properly. Either I came at the wrong time or maybe the right time, depending on how you want to look at it.
No, I think you came at the right time. I think your timing was perfect.
I think so. It's been and it continues to be a wonderful life. So I can't complain a bit. Well, 1965. So you've been around long enough to really experience a lot of interesting history, and that'll be fun to talk about. But you, what was it like moving around and being in various places from a school standpoint and making friends and all that? That must have been more of a challenge.
Well, it wasn't for me, actually. I had two sisters at the time. So, it's so funny how people could live almost the same life and see things totally different. I mean, we are all involved in life right now on planet Earth, and I promise you, if you line up 20 people, they're going to have 20 different perspectives about life and about the Earth and everything else. So for me, I loved it. I was an athlete, so Michael, anytime I had to move to a new school, I had to prove myself again as an athlete. So I loved it. It made me better as an athlete. It also, I believe, contributed to me being a person who's outgoing. I'm a very outgoing person. I'm not afraid to meet new people. I'm not afraid to talk to people. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that we were moving all the time because I had to make new friends and I had to get involved in new communities. And, so for me, it was a great opportunity because I had an opportunity to grow. For my sisters, Yeah, but
Yeah,
they,
go ahead.
they didn't like it. It was perspective. They hated it, you know. They didn't like going to new schools. They didn't like new friends. They didn't like new people. They wanted to stay with their old friends and keep doing things the old way. And I hated that, man. So I was really happy to move.
More of an adventurous spirit, no doubt.
Oh, without a doubt. And didn't realize that even when I was younger, I didn't realize that, that was a gift that I had.
Well, my wife, when and I, we moved several times during her lifetime. She passed away in November of 2022. We were married 40 years, and as I tell people,
Congratulations. That's a long time.
she's up there monitoring me somewhere from
Oh,
somewhere, and if I
absolutely.
misbehave, I'm going to hear about it. So I got to be a good kid. But
Well, I got my
we,
mom and daddy. They're up there monitoring me right now,
yeah,
especially
so you got to be a
Command
good
Sergeant
kid too.
Major Walter Cudjo.
There
I
you
know
go.
he's watching
See,
me.
yeah, we don't like cowards in our army. He's going to take care of you.
Oh, for sure.
So the thing about it is that whenever we moved, she moved with a little bit more fear and trepidation than I, especially after 1994. She became a quilter and she started a quilt guild, or not started a quilt guild, but kind of formed a quilting group in Vista where we were living. And then we moved to New Jersey and she formed a new group and met people there. But she was really a little bit concerned about moving there and making new friends. And it was a little bit more of a challenge for her because she was in a wheelchair her whole life. So of course, again, it was an issue of
Yeah.
just being able to move around and so on. We did build an accessible house, so it all worked out pretty well. But she formed some really great relationships in New Jersey, and then at the same time, she's a California native, and after September 11th, she wanted to move back to California, and we did. It made sense to do. And so we moved back to California, but she missed some of her friends in New Jersey, and she kept in touch with them, but formed a whole new group of people out in California. But still, I can understand moving is not the most fun thing, and I didn't mind moving when we needed to move, so it was okay. But it is a little bit of a challenge sometimes because you do got to make new friends. But I've never found that to be overly traumatic or horrible to do. I always like to meet new folks, and of course, I worked in the World Trade Center and traveled alone into the World Trade Center every day. But by the same token, I got to meet a lot of new people, and it was a lot of fun, both in the complex and going to and from it on the train. So it was okay.
Well, I think meeting new people is a great foundation of expansion.
Right.
You get to see things a different way, hear things a different way, and potentially see, maybe think about things a different way. So I do know, it's so funny because even as I became a young adult and an adult, that travel was always part of what I did. I mean, I love speaking all over the country. I used to have to be in 14 different cities every single month, so that was a lot of travel. I would stay in communities about 5, 6 years, and then I'd relocate somewhere else to do
Yeah.
something different. So I loved it, and to this very day, I love to travel. So I think it's in my blood. I think that's just who I am as a person.
There you go. Now, where do you live today?
I live in Houston, Texas
You're in
today.
Houston. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But my wife and I were, again, talking about travel. We're considering relocating for a while to Spain. We're either going to go to Madrid or Barcelona. We're not sure yet, but that's on our radar right now.
Haven't been to Barcelona. Have been to Madrid
Did
and
you like it?
Seville. Yeah, I did. We spent time, a little bit of time in Madrid, more in Seville, in 1992 when the World's Exposition was there. And we spent a week on Tenerife, so in the Canary Islands and all that, which was a lot of fun.
Wow, wow. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Spain, and my wife hasn't either. So we're super excited about it.
Yeah, it's always an adventure to go overseas and see how people do things differently. And there's always a lot of interesting and new ideas for us because they do things one way and we do things another way. And it's interesting to see how things develop and why different people do things the way they do. And it also helps build a tolerance and understanding that it's not always going to be the way we want. That's okay.
Well, I believe tolerance is the key of life.
Yeah.
Diversity is the key of life. You have tolerance. You can see the beauty of diversity.
Right.
Everybody's different. Everybody, even it's so funny because my wife and I, we have a friend who have twins. And even though they look exactly alike, they were born, exactly at the same time. They are two different people, totally two different personalities, characteristics, the whole nine. But physically, they look the same. So it's just amazing. Even twins are different.
Of course, if you talk to those two twins, they're going to tell you that one of them was born, even if it's only a few seconds before the other one. So one is older than the other one.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I have a couple friends who are identical twins, and they're separated by about a minute or so, and they argue about it all the time.
Oh, dude.
Hi, you're really older than I am.
You got here 2 seconds before I did.
That's it. So, did you go to college?
I did. I did go to college. I did 1 year in college. I played football and I injured myself. My first year, my freshman year of college, I blew out my left knee, my right knee, my lateral meniscus, ACL. I also blew out my lower lumbar, 3, 4, and 5. So my football career was over, Michael. There was no teams looking for a fullback with bad knees and a bad back. I mean, did you just they're just not interested in that type of athlete. So
Yeah,
I ended
there's
up
some issues there.
dropping out of school. They gave me an option. They were like, there's and this was actually the beginning of my journey, to be honest with you. I injured myself playing football. I was highly ranked in the country, and pretty strong prospect about being able to make it to the NFL. I had all of my eggs in that basket, if you will, because I came from a long line of athletes and football players. So when I injured myself, I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was anymore. I mean, I was a football player. Now I can't play football. Who am I? So I went into a whole year of depression. I just, I couldn't figure out things. I started doing things to destroy my body. I was destroying my mind. I was destroying my perspective about life. My desire for life was diminishing, and I just was in a real tough place. And that was the beginning of it all for me, to be honest with you.
So you didn't stay in college then after all that?
No, I did not.
Did you ever go back?
I transferred into a totally different university.
Hmm.
I ended up getting a PhD at LU. The PhD stands for past, H stands for having, D stands for doubt. So I'm past having doubt in my life and who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm very clear about that. I also got my degree from LU, which is Life University. It's the greatest school on the planet.
Yeah. And the curriculum is somewhat different for everyone.
It's different for everyone, and it's continually evolving. The curriculum never stays the same.
Right.
It's beautiful.
And it has a very large teaching staff.
Oh, each one of us are teachers.
Exactly.
just like each one of us are students. It's
Right.
It's a
Or
beautiful
should
thing.
be.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's my belief, it's always been my belief that if you can't be a student in life and you decide that you know all there is to know, then you've lost.
Well, got bad news for you. You're never going to know everything you need to know.
That's my point.
That's
Yeah.
part of.
Well,
yeah,
you
that's
may
part
know
of-
everything you need to know, but if you tell that to everyone, then you'll never discover that maybe there's something else to learn.
Oh, sure. Life is learning. Learning is life.
That's it.
That's what you're here for. To gather more wisdom and knowledge and more power. At least that's what I've discovered after working with thousands of clients, 38 years in transformational space. I've realized some common denominators to success and failure of every human being, and it really doesn't have anything to do with your gender, your race, your social demographic location, your financial status. It has nothing to do with any of those things, which is absolutely wonderful because everybody, and I mean everybody, can transform their lives pretty quickly. You already have the tools inside of you.
Yeah. Well, you went through this year of kind of trying to figure things out, and what happened?
Well, I during that time, as I said, I was doing things that were very detrimental to my life. I considered suicide, attempted suicide, and that's kind of when God knocked on my door, and I mean literally knocked on my door. Michael, I was I was in a real tough place in my life. I didn't know who I was, or what I was doing on this planet. And I was asking some real serious questions. And the whole time I was driving, I had like a 35, 40-minute commute to my business, to my job.
What was your job?
At that time, I was a fitness director at a health club.
Okay.
So I had to drive 30 minutes to get to that city, 30 to 40 minutes, depending on traffic, to get to that city. So I watched the construction of this building go up in my neighborhood. I watched them break the ground. I watched them put up the bones, and I watched them put the walls in. And then a sign came up, and it said Trinity. It was a church that was being built. And for some reason, Michael, I couldn't take my eye off that place. I kept driving past it. So here we are, one beautiful day. I'm in my home. My wife is at work. She has no clue what I'm doing. I'm in my room, and I've got all the lights drawn. I got the blinds drawn. Depression loves darkness.
Yeah.
Depression can't live in the light. It just loves darkness. So I was in a very dark place, and someone knocked on my door. And I really didn't want to answer the door because I was in the middle of doing something. I had something to do. I wanted to finish this thing called life. So
yeah, you wanted to be depressed.
I wanted to be depressed, and I wanted to pull the trigger. So someone knocked on my door, and that person wouldn't leave. So I finally put the gun on the floor and went to the front door and opened the door. I cracked it. I cracked the door. I didn't even open the door fully, Michael. I just cracked it. I said, "Can I help you?" And the guy just looked at me. I can close my eyes right now and see it. He had salt and pepper hair. His name was Pastor Newton. He introduced himself that way. He said, "My name is Pastor Newton." And he said, he goes, "You see that church that's being built up the street?" I said, "Yeah, Pastor Newton." I said, "I look at it every day when I'm coming home." He goes, "Great." He goes, "Well, we're gonna have our first service this Sunday, and we'd love to have you there." And we talked a little bit, and I still was in the mode of suicide. I wasn't, I wanted to get him off my porch, to be honest with you. So I just agreed that I was going to go to church. I said, "I'll see you Sunday, man." And I had no intention of going. I wasn't going. I just wanted him off my porch. So here we are. Sunday shows up, and I've been partying all night, Saturday and Friday, and Sunday shows up, Michael, and it's time for me to go to church. I end up going to church, and to make a really long story short, this was about a 6-week process. I sat at the very back of the church, and I got physically sick probably within 30 minutes of service, and I just left. But the following Sunday, I find myself back in that church, and I'm a little bit closer to the pulpit. I'm moving closer and closer every week. I never made it. Like the first 5 weeks, I never made it to the end of the service, so I never heard the altar call or anything like that. I finally made it to the end of the service, and I'm a pretty hard-headed guy, Michael. I'm very hard to convince, and I don't believe things very easily, and I don't follow a lot of people. So, that was totally against following God. God is all about trust and understanding. And I didn't have that in me. So I was like, well, I sat there. I remember the pastor, he did an altar call, and I remember I sat there and I didn't even stand up. I was that rebellious. Everybody stood up in church. I remained seated. I just sat down and didn't get up. And I remember I closed my eyes and I just told God, I said, "If this story is true and you're alive and you're real, I just want to know if you're real." I said, "You'd send the pastor to come talk to me." And I don't know why I did that for, brother, because it happened. The pastor, next thing I know, I felt a hand on my shoulder. I opened my eyes up. I looked up at Pastor Newton, and this is exactly what he said to me. He goes, "God wants me to tell you that he's real, that he loves you, and that he has something for you to do. That's why you're here." That changed my life. That actually changed my life. I realized at that moment that there was something so much bigger than us as humans. I realized at that moment that there was a power inside of me that I had no idea about. I just realized right there, it just came together for me in that moment. And that's when I said to myself, I've got to discover what this is. I've got to discover what this is inside of me, what it means to me, how it drives me. And so I just committed the rest of my life to that journey. That's what I've been doing. And that's what I'll do until I finish living in this physical body. And I'll go to the next level of understanding immediately when that happens.
Well, I appreciate your story and what you're saying, and we all come to God in different ways, but from my perspective, God is definitely there, and I actually heard God's voice, physically heard God's voice, and I talk about it in my first book, which is about being in the World Trade Center. The book is called Thunderdog: The Story of a Blind Man and his guide dog, and the Triumph of Trust at Ground Zero. And the story briefly is that when we were running away from Tower 2, we were very close to Tower 2 when it collapsed. When we came out of Tower 1, we were walking up Broadway and we were close to Tower 2. And when the building collapsed, everyone started running, and I turned 180 degrees and ran back the way I came toward Tower 1. And the first thing I did is I said, God, I can't believe that you got us out of a building just to have it fall on us. Now, I've always had a life of faith, but I still made that comment, not knowing what God might or might not say. But the next thing I heard in my head, as clearly as you hear me now, was a voice that said, don't worry about what you can't control. Focus on running with Roselle and the rest will take care of itself. Well, two things. Everything has taken care of itself. And that whole concept of don't worry about what you can't control. And I change it slightly to focus on what you can control and don't worry about the rest of it, which is really part of the same thing. But the bottom line is that also then formed, to a degree, the premise of the latest book that I wrote called Live Like a Guide Dog: True Stories from a Blind Man and His Dogs About Being Brave, Overcoming Adversity, and Moving Forward in Faith. And the idea is that we worry about everything. We try to control everything. And the reality is well over 90% of the things that come into our lives are not things that we have control over. And the more that we worry about all those things that we have no control over or over which we don't have any influence, the more we worry about that, the more fearful we become, and the further we move away from what we really ought to be doing in reality. So talking about dealing only with what you can control and living more in the moment and not worrying about what if for every single thing in the world is a very significant part of what I talk about a lot of times when I speak and travel the world, talking about not only my experiences, but the kinds of experiences that I encourage other people to have. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, those experiences are very unique to each individual. And I tell you, along the way, Michael, as I, to finish that story a little bit, I eventually became a pastor, associate pastor. I was an assistant pastor in a church, and I started asking some real deep questions, probably beyond what a lot of people ask. And I was told, just like you heard that voice in the moment when you needed it, I was told to search and seek and study other religions. I had no clue why that was being given to me, because at that time I truly believed that Christianity was the only way. Jesus was the only way. I didn't understand how the universe really worked and how God was. So I started studying other religions, and I started seeing things in a totally different way, and seeing that God was universal, and God is all things, and God is everything, and God is energy. And when I realized that, I started focusing on the common denominator inside of all the human beings that I was working with, from CEOs to C-suite executives to professional athletes to people that were trying to get off medications, people that were trying to reverse disease states in their bodies, people that were just trying to transform their lives, trying to get to a better place with their finances, and just trying to live the best life possible. I started paying attention to the common denominator that connects us all as human beings, not as a black man or a white man or a male or a female or a Republican or a Democrat or a Christian or non-Christian, but the thing that truly connects us all. And it's the very thing that gives you breath and the very thing that gives me breath. That's the life. that we have in all of us. So that's what I focus on. And I've realized that no matter where you are in your life, and no matter what you're going through, you only have one problem. It's your belief. That's your only problem. I don't care what it is. It's your belief. And usually people, their beliefs come from a lack of understanding, or they get their beliefs from their mother. They get their beliefs from their father. They get their beliefs from their communities. They even get their beliefs from their religions. And all those are very limited in their ability. So understanding belief and moving into knowing is a much more powerful place to be. You see, just like you said, I know I can't control anything, but I know that I influence everything. I'll say that again. I don't control anything, but I influence everything by the power of my words, by the power of my actions, by the power of my thoughts. That's how I influence the world that's around me. That's how I influence the world that's inside of me. And that's how you unlock the power that you have inside of you. And understanding that living in the moment of now is where your power is. Your power is not living in the past. Your power is not living in the future. Your power is living in the moment of now, because that's really all we really have. I have this breath that I have right now. I have this life that I have right now. I have this conversation and this connection with you, Michael, that I have right now. I have this connection with your audience that we have right now. It's not in the future and it's not in the past. It's right now. Mm-hmm. So when you live with that perspective, you unlock your power as a human being. It's amazing power. You have the power to heal your own body. That's not my opinion. That's the law. That's the law of your biology. It's the law of your biology. Unfortunately, we haven't been taught how to live in our physical bodies. No one's ever taught us how to live in our physical bodies. When I came to this planet, they did not say, Anthony, welcome to your physical body, and here are the biological
rules. Yeah,
here's the rules. Here's the rules of living in your body, and here are the rules of living in this life, on this planet, in this environment. No one's ever taught us that. And I promise you, man, if you understood that, your life will be totally different.
Sure. So here's a question that just popped into my head from somewhere. Christians would tell you, though, that there's merit to Christianity that no other church has or no other religion has, because they follow Jesus, and Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And so clearly they're saying you got to follow Jesus, which means you got to be a Christian. How do you respond to that, especially relating to other religions?
Well, first of all, Jesus never came to this planet to create followers. Jesus came to this planet to create leaders. Mm-hmm. Jesus came to this planet to help us to understand who we were as human beings in this body, that we were divine beings in this physical body. You see, he said, greater things shall ye do. So sure. when I heard that, I was like, hold on. According to the story, you raised the dead, you made the blind see, you fed the multitude, thousands. How did you walked on water, and you're saying greater things shall I do? You see, that's a real powerful statement, and only the bold will start to seek that out, and it said, seek and ye shall find, and you're supposed to really seek beyond what men are telling you. You see, I didn't really start understanding who I was, who I really, really am before I entered this body, and they told me I was a man. Then they told me I was a black man. Then they told me this was the community I was going to live in, and this is my mother and my father. So I began to get socialized immediately as soon as I came to this planet in this physical body, and I started believing these things. So if you'll notice, as I started looking at other religions, and I didn't look at them judgmentally, I just looked at them. I wanted to know. And if you'll notice, each religion has a demographic boundary. I mean, here we've got Christianity over here in the West, and it's kind of where it started. It's spreading across the globe, of course. Buddhism is spreading across the globe as well. So you have these different religions in these different areas of the world with different people with different beliefs. And what we don't understand is that nature itself is diverse. Even within a tree, you see so much diversity in a tree. So there's a ton of diversity in humanity. So there has to be different ways to get to God. And I don't care which direction you take, you're not going to miss God because God is everything
But
in
how do
every
you
way.
deal with the argument that they make? You know, Jesus said, "I am the way, I am the truth," and so if you don't follow Jesus, you're not really following the path because he said, "I am."
Sure. I don't argue. You see, you don't have to argue with things you already. I don't argue with those type of folks, man. At the end of the day, I'll ask them a quick question. I'll say, "Are there any other religions that you've studied? Yes or no?" That's all I want to know. Yes or no. And 9 out of 10 times they say no. Why?
No.
Because looking at other religions and looking at other things outside of Christianity is considered blasphemy and it's considered sin. So why would they do that?
However,
So I tell them, I say, listen. You can't have a conversation with me until you start looking at other religions because this is where I'm coming from and you don't have that perspective. So how can you and I really have a conscious conversation about religion and your beliefs? Because I don't believe in religion at all. None
so
of them.
here's another answer, which I think is relevant to that question. If you go back to Exodus in the Bible, when Moses said to God, who do I say has sent me?" He said, "I am that I am. Thou shalt say, I am has sent me to you." And my point is, when Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," was he talking about him, the physical being, or was he talking about God? And my belief is that he was talking about God. And as Jesus said, "I and my Father are one," and we all are part of that same thing. And I think that people just adopt and try to justify something without really thinking it through, because I really believe that when he said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," he's absolutely correct. That's what God is, and we all are God.
Exactly. That's the key. And I think
So,
that's the big discussion, and that's the big thing that I think people are really fearful of. I know I was. I was really fearful to believe
mhm.
that I was the image of God and that I was God on this planet, and I'm God in the form of Anthony Cudjo, and I have the ability of God. God said that I have all things in me as well. So it's it's I can either accept that as my truth or I can deny it.
Sure.
It's I choose. I choose to be a powerful human being. I choose to operate in the energy and understand the biological laws and the metaphysical laws, the laws that I can't, there's two worlds that we all play in, and most people don't understand this, Michael. We play in the metaphysical world, which is the invisible world, the world that you can't see with your human eyes. And then we also play in the physical world, which is the physical world that our senses are connected to, that we can touch, taste, feel, smell, and hear. But there's another world that actually controls the physical world, which is the metaphysical world. So the invisible world controls the visible world. And the first invisible world that you should really focus on is the invisible world that is inside of you. That's the most important world. It's that world inside of you. It's that conversation you're having with yourself. That's what's going to determine what kind of life you're going to have. Death and life is through the power of the tongue. You've
Sure.
heard that scripture before. You
Sure.
speak blessings or cursings over your life. That's the truth. That's energy. I tell people, if you really want to know what this life is about, start taking humanistic words off of it. Start taking your social conditioning off of it and understand that everything is life. Everything is energy. Your words are energy. Your actions are energy. Your thoughts are energy. Everything is energy. Money is energy. Everything is energy. And when you understand that, then you have the power to start to manipulate the energy.
So what does it mean to be human?
Oh, wow. That is such a magnificent question. It's everything to be human. I have a choice in this body. Michael, I didn't even talk to you about the abuse that happened in my home, the things that happened to me as a child in my own home that kind of sparked some very bad energy inside of me. And I was doing some real bad things when I was growing up. So, at the end of the day, I in this body, I have a full choice. I can be a healer or I can be a killer, whichever one I want. I can heal people or I can kill people. For real. I mean,
Sure.
I can go help people or I cannot help people. So the beautiful thing about this human body is that it's been given to you as a tool of your creation. It's your
Right.
master tool. That's why I tell people you have to take care of it. Why? Because your body itself is a vibration. Your body itself is an energy. Your body itself is a frequency. So your energy, your vibration, and your frequency is the way you actually navigate through this life. You draw things to you. You are electromagnetic. There's nothing you can do about it. That's the way you were created. That is the law of your biology. That's why I tell people don't chase anything. See, the world will tell you to chase things. The world will tell you to do things that are just against the natural laws of who you are. That's why they don't work long term. That's why there's no fulfillment in it, because you're working against who you are within your DNA. You see, I remember when I told you I finally found out what I was here for. Every human being has a blueprint inside of their cells, inside of your DNA. There's a blueprint of what you said you wanted to do when you came to this planet and you incarnated into that physical body and you came here to start to play. You made some decisions before you entered your body. Mm-hmm. Now, the beautiful thing about that is you forgot everything. God wiped your memory. Why? So you could come down here as a conscious creator and create the things that you truly desire. That's why when you find out what you've come on this planet for, it's just life changes.
Sure.
Life changes. There's a guy named Mark Twain. I love this quote. He said, the two most important days in your life, Michael, is the day you were born and the day you find out why.
Yeah.
You see, we all know why everybody knows their birth date. They beat that in us every year. Yeah. This is one of the ways I stay young. I don't celebrate my birthday anymore. I stopped doing that because every year you're like, I'm a year older. I'm a year older. I don't do that. I live in the moment of now. If I'm alive now, I'm happy now. And I do the best that I can to remain healthy.
And I use that to celebrate my birthday.
Absolutely. Well, you're reborn every day, to be honest with you. Well, you die every night. Every time you go to sleep and you leave your physical body, it's almost like death. Your spirit has left the physical body, but the physical body is still moving and it's still functioning and doing what it's supposed to be doing because you're not done here yet. But at the end of the day, you spiritually leave your body. And that just shows you right there that you're actually a three-part being. You have a mind, you have a body, and you have a spirit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a lot for that, and there's a lot to be said for that, and it's absolutely true. And people really should work to discover that. I want to go back a little bit to your history. So you went to church. What happened, and what did you eventually evolve into doing with your life? So you became an associate pastor. Is that all you do, or what else do you do?
Well, I did that, and I found that I had a passion for helping people. As I was discovering my own truth, I wanted to do my best to help people discover their own truth as well. So I started, ministering to people, and I started a ministry where I went into hospitals and I started talking to people that were dying. Well, my spirit told me to do that, and I really didn't understand why. It was like, go to hospitals and just start asking questions, praying for people, telling them that you love them and give them an opportunity to have a place to talk before they leave their physical body. So I learned so much during that time, asking those type of questions, understanding what life really meant and what was so important in life. So as I did that, I started evolving and taking some of those truths and some of those philosophies, and I started integrating those within my fitness practice. Because I asked God this question, man, long time ago. I said, why are we dying so early? Because when I was reading the Bible, it was clearly stated that people were living 600-700 years, and it was like, man, we can't even fathom that now. So I was like, hold on, you haven't changed the human body since Adam and Eve. What's going on here? Why are we dying so early? Why does the body get sickness and disease so quickly? How come it's a big challenge to live beyond 100 years? And I never got an answer for a while. A couple of years went by, and then one day I woke up. It was like 3:00 in the morning, and I got one word in my soul, and it was environment. Mm-hmm. The environment is the difference. And I was like, whoa, okay, environment, both internal and external environment was the difference. So it's like, understanding that we actually have control over our biology. And we have control over, like you said, what do you have control over? You really don't. I don't have control over how my cells replicate and duplicate, but I do have control over how they're going to do that. And the reason why I say that is because I can influence them by the way I speak to them. I speak to my cells and I speak to my body positively every single day. And I always tell my clients to do the same, because if you do that, then your health gets better just by that conversation.
So you have clients. What do you do today?
I transform human beings from the inside out.
There you go.
So people come to me, and they usually come to me because they have some kind of dysfunction going on in their lives externally. And they'll come to me. They either have a weight problem or a health problem or a financial problem or a relationship problem or a career problem, and they want to overcome that. And I tell them, I say, okay, if you want to overcome it, let's go. I'm going to show you how to do it. And I show them that they have the power within themselves. So there's three things we always focus on. We focus on the spirit, we focus on the mind, and then we focus on the body. And the reason why we do it that way, Michael, is because that's how you create everything in your life. Once again, this is a law. It has nothing to do with my opinion. Your spirit is the primary. You're going to leave this physical body one day. Your spirit's going to go on. So your spirit is the primary. Your spirit actually talks to your mind. Most people don't even know where their mind is, Michael. Where do you think your mind is? I'm going to ask you a question, see if you know. Do you know where your mind is?
Oh, I think my mind is more in my heart than anywhere else.
Okay. And you're right. Your mind, remember, okay, so these are strong statements, and a lot of people that
Yeah.
kind of scare, this is not for the weak-hearted, I promise you. Okay, so here we go. If we are, as Jesus said, created in the image of God, and we all say that, right? So then let's talk about the image of God. God is all things. God is everything. God is all powerful. God is male and female. God is black and white. God is everything. Okay, so you have that inside of you. Let's get clear about that. And that's something you have to accept.
Right.
That's why God says that I am the truth and the light. That's what Jesus was trying to say. He was like, if you can't believe this, then believe in me. Believe in what I do. Believe in how I speak. Believe in how I move. If you can't believe this for yourself, I've just chosen to believe it for myself. So here you are with all this power inside of you. It's inside every single cell of your
Sure it
body.
is.
You have over 40 trillion cells in your body.
And the mind, in one sense, is everywhere. But if you had to pick a center,
There is no center.
there isn't
It's
really a
everywhere.
center.
No, it's everywhere. It's inside of you. It's outside of you. It's everywhere. It's the mind of God. You can't
Yeah.
get away from it.
No, but I was talking about your mind or my mind.
My
But yeah,
mind is well,
my mind is everywhere because it's all part of God.
yes. So my mind is the mind of God. I know these are strong statements, but this is what I choose to believe. This is how I get access to everything.
Sure.
You see, I believe that I am everything. I believe that I have the potential to become anything that I desire. I know my cells are magnificently created by the Creator, and that they create every day. My cells right now, as I'm talking to you, they're creating right now.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, when you understand that you have that power and you start speaking in that manner, then the universe has to work in harmony with you. See, at the end of the day, the universe is always working in harmony with you, regardless. Now, you're either creating things consciously or you're creating things unconsciously. That's
The
where you
only
are.
the only issue about the universe and harmony is, of course, you have the choice as to whether you're going to live by harmony or you're going to separate yourself from it. And that, of course, is part of what tends to make age or people age and die sooner and so on. When you reject the way God and the world and all of us are, then that is also a choice that God gives you to make. I am firmly of the opinion that one of the greatest gifts we ever got is free will. And unfortunately, all too many people have used that to go in directions that they ought not to go within their own spirit and mind.
No, I agree with you. I just, we all have free will.
Yeah.
We get to choose, and you will always have free will. You'll have
Yep.
free will. You'll have free will even when you leave this body.
Mm-hmm.
All the people that I sat next to, Michael, when they were passing away, they passed away when they were ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they said enough was enough and they were ready to die, they passed away when they were ready, not when anyone else was ready. When they said, "Okay, I'm ready to go,"
Right.
then they left. So
And
you
they
actually have control of that as well.
Sure.
Have control. You have control. You made the decision. I made the decision to come to this planet in this body October 18th, 1965 at 2 a.m.
Right.
And I've made a decision when I'm going to leave this planet as well.
And that when those conditions are attained, then you will. Or
There's not going to be any conditions. I'm going to lay down and I'm going to let my spirit go,
well,
just
what I
like I
mean by
picked my
that is
spirit
when
up.
the conditions are when you know you're ready to go.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So
I've still got work to do. That's what I'm here for. I got to
yeah.
finish this. I got to finish the task of my work, and then when it's complete, then that'll be the next step.
So you have been working to help people. What and when did that start in terms
That's
of your
that.
business?
Well, in terms of as far as monetizing it, that started probably in 1997.
Okay.
But I was hurt, again, when I injured myself playing football, I had a lot of football friends and buddies and athletes that had similar injuries. And I said, hey, before you do the surgery, why don't you let me see if I can help you? And they were gracious enough to let me try to help them. And we ended up overcoming their issue without surgery. So I started looking at a totally different way to rehab the body without surgery, without medicine. And that helped me to tap into these powers that we have inside of us as far as healing our bodies.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and I moved to Virginia. What was it? I think it was 1997. In 1997, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I started working for Ric Flair. I was a regional director for him for his gyms. So I did that for a while. And then I opened up my first gym. It was my first startup I did in Chapel Hill in 1999. It was a gym that I opened. And I just started opening up gyms after that and ended up becoming a motivational speaker for ABC and traveling all over the country. And that's when I really started learning and talking to a lot of different human beings about different situations and getting a lot of information about how to empower and help other people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got to that place. So now I just transform. Again, it doesn't matter what your problem is. So you're focusing on you're focusing on the external. I'm going to show you how to shift yourself to the internal so you can focus on the internal issue that caused the external issue. And then the external issue will disappear. I promise you, it's the law. It has to.
So how do people overcome this whole issue of self-doubt and unlock their true potential?
Well, first of all, you got to really know who you are. You're a spiritual being having a physical experience right now in this physical body. So the first thing I have people do, Michael, is if you're going to work with me, the first law is you must honor your body. I can't get you to the next level of your being. I can't get you to the next level of who you are or what you're trying to accomplish until we take care of your physical body. You've got to live there for the rest of your life on this planet. Not only that, it's your tool. It's your antenna, if you will. Again, you are electromagnetic. You are an electromagnetic being. That's your biology. So in order for me to strengthen your signal, strengthen your emission, if you will, I have to strengthen your body. And in order to do that, we have to change your body composition because muscle is more resilient and muscle has more resonance than fat. And muscle is healthier than fat. So what we do is we focus on changing the body's composition. At the same time, we start changing our internal dialogue. Your internal conversation, it's what's controlling your life right now. I have noticed that no matter who I work with and no matter where they are, when they start exercising, they start talking better to themselves. They start talking better about themselves. And they also start talking better about their lives. So if I can get you talking better about yourself, better about your life, guess what? Your life has no choice but by law to get better.
To get better, right.
So I always use exercise first. Why? Because God gave us a reason. There's a reason why we have all these senses because we're very feeling type individuals. So if I can get you to feel good, I can get you to talk good. If I can get you to talk good, I can get you to walk good. And if I can get you to walk good, your life gets good. That's the law. And that's how I do it. And it just happens. One domino knocks over the next one, and that domino knocks over the next one, and again and again and again and again. And next thing you know, you where you are. And not only that, you know how powerful you are.
Right. You figure it out or you realize it.
You discover it.
You discover it.
discovery happens. You don't learn anything. Nothing in your life that you've learned it all through discovery. You have to do it to learn it.
And the reality is it's always been there, but you have to find it.
Exactly. Everything is here and now. That's why I keep telling people, live in the moment of now. Your answers are right now. Everything is now. Your health is right now. How you're speaking to yourself is right now. How are you acting right now? That's what's making your life what it is.
Well, along the way, you discovered this concept you talk about called H3O. Tell us about that.
Yes. Again, this program, it came to me about 5 years ago. I was just studying, and this thing popped up in my head. It said H3O, and I was like, H3O, what is that? So I started looking at the human body because that's my background. And we're about 70% water. Did you know that? Our bodies are about 70 to 73% water, depending on your genetics and depending on your gender and how much muscle you have on your body. There's a lot of moving parts, but you're about 70 to 73% water. Okay?
Right.
And if you'll look at water itself, water is the most powerful element on the planet. Would you agree?
Sure.
Okay.
For
water
a lot of
is
reasons,
well, water is also the most flexible.
Yep.
It adapts to anything. You can put water inside of anything, it will adapt to that shape.
It's a solid, a liquid, and a gas, depending on the temperature. Right.
And you know what, Michael? You are a solid, you are a liquid, and you are a gas as well. Do you believe that?
Understand? Yep.
Okay. So us as human beings, we have that quality. Now watch this. As powerful as water is, I could take a glass of water, Michael, and I can put it on the table, and I could tell that glass of water to go build me a house. Will that glass of water be able to do that? Yes or no?
The water in of itself,
Yes.
there's more to it than just the water.
Well, the water itself, if I just put a glass of water on the table, that's it. And I told that water, build me a house, that water would not have the capability of doing it.
No.
I can take a human being and put that human being on the table and say, build me a house. That human being would have the capability of doing it. And if that human did not have the capacity of doing it, it would be able to get the knowledge and information to do that. Correct?
Correct.
So you are an evolution of water. You can do things that water cannot do.
Correct.
There's where the H3O came from. H stands for human. This is for every single human being that's walking on this planet. It came from the development of me speaking to people under the bridge and speaking to people who own the bridge. So I've talked to all kind of humans, man. And let me tell you, this works for every single human being that I've worked with. Okay, so the H stands for human. The 3 stands for the 3 distinct energies that every human being has in their body. This is the law of your being. Mm-hmm. The first energy you have, which is a creative energy, is your spirit. The second energy that you have, which is a creative energy, is your mind. Mm-hmm. And the third energy that you have, which is a creative energy, is your body. Anyone that would come to me with any problem, I promise you, spirit, mind, and body are not working harmoniously, synergistically together. That's why you can't unlock the situation that you're trying to unlock. You can't unlock that next level of wealth. You can't unlock that next level of understanding and power as a human being. You can't unlock that next level of relationships that you want. You can't unlock that next level of creativity. There is the only way to do that is to have all 3 of those aspects working together synergistically, harmoniously in one direction, and you will create immediately. That's how Jesus did it. If you look at his story, Jesus, his spirit, mind, and body were all working together. When he was on the water, standing on the ocean, his spirit, mind, and body were all working together. When he healed anyone, his spirit, mind, and body were all working together. That is so important for you to unlock your potential as a human being and a divine being having a physical experience on this planet. I show people how to do that. And it all starts with your internal conversation. You cannot be great on the outside if you're not speaking great about yourself on the inside. It's against the law.
By any definition you want to use. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So what I teach people is how to use your words because your words are powerful. You're using them either consciously or you're using them unconsciously. But make no mistake about it, you're using your words. It's part of the law of who you are. You
Right.
can't create anything without talking. You didn't even create this podcast show without talking. You had to talk
Right.
to yourself about it first, and then you had to take action. And when you talked to yourself and took action, I promise you, the universe lined up and started dropping things right there in your path. Things just started working out. You had serendipitous moments. You had miracle moments. All these great things started happening. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right. And the issue is that the more of it you do, the more you talk to yourself, the more you talk with yourself, and all three of the components that you talk about, the more of that you do, the better the podcast and all related things that you're working on will be.
I'm going to tell, all the listeners, if you just take this one thing with you, and I want to challenge you, for the next 30 days so you'll discover it for yourself. I want you to be very mindful of the words that you are speaking out of your mouth because those words are creating your existence. Those words are creating your life. Those words are also creating your challenges that you are having in your life. So I want you to be very careful about what you're speaking. And I always tell people this, for the next 30 days, I want you to only speak what you desire. So all the things that you don't desire, don't speak those things out. You can still think about them. Don't talk about it too long inside because it's energy.
The
And
more you
thing
don't talk about it, the more you don't think about it, the better it is. But go ahead.
it disappears.
Yeah.
See, again, this is the law of energy.
Right.
Energy only can stay around if you give it your attention.
Right.
Because if you give it your attention, you're giving it your energy and it stays around.
You're
If you
giving
don't
it
give
power
it your
and you
attention,
don't need to.
there
Yeah.
you go. And that's the conscious thing about it. If you see something in your life that you don't like, what do we normally do? We focus on it. People, they focus on it. They talk about it. They go tell their friends about it. They call their family and tell their family. So you're creating more of that by law, by the energy and the law of energy. You're creating more of it.
Yeah.
Your focus is your energy. So if you want something to manifest very quickly for you in your life, I want you to start putting your focus on it. And your focus is your concentration, your conversation, and what are you thinking about it? That's your focus. The more you think about it, the more you give it energy. The more you speak about it, the more you give it energy. The more you act on it, which is the most powerful creative energy, the quicker you create it.
And that is how you activate H3O.
That's exactly how you activate it. And it's in every single human being, Michael. I use this principle and I use these laws, and I didn't even know it when I was in poverty. I was broke. I was running from the police. I was just a bad guy. I didn't realize I was using these laws because I was talking about this stuff and I was telling my friends, and I was just living in this action and in that law, and that law continued to propagate itself upon me. And I had no clue. But when I became a businessman and I started hanging around different people, I started saying different things. I started focusing on a different life. Guess what? It showed up.
Mm-hmm.
It showed up. And then
that's really the issue.
I just put the gas on it. I just kept doing it. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You have a spiritual muscle, guys. If you work that spiritual muscle, it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, just like your physical muscle.
If you devote your efforts to it.
You have to devote time.
Yeah.
I always tell people this as well. If you really want to get clear about who you are, if you want to get clear about what you are, and you want to get clear about what you are, where you are, then I strongly recommend that you start meditating. Meditation just means it just go in a room. Go in a room by yourself. Turn off the lights and close your eyes and just be silent. Just listen.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do.
And the reality is we so often hear people say, I don't have time to do that. And that's just balderdash. Of course you have time to do it. If you don't have any other time to do it, you do it when you're getting in bed and getting ready to fall asleep. Think about what happened during the day. Be introspective. Think about yourself. Think about all of these issues and go to sleep thinking about these issues. You will find out how much of a difference that makes over time in your life.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'm going to clarify that statement a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure.
That's one of the problems, Michael. People are laying in the bed and they're thinking about their issues.
Not the issues. And that's not what I was talking about.
No, you don't. When you lay in the bed, let me tell you something. If you understood laws and you understood energy, you would not be laying in that bed thinking about anything but positive things. Because what you're doing as you're laying there, you are resetting your biology.
Right.
Your body is going to perform based off of the way you were thinking when you went to sleep. So if you're thinking about all the stress of the day, you're thinking about all the problems of the day, then you are slowing down your biological function to heal you.
Unless you take it one step further, which is you're thinking about the stress of the day, you're thinking about the problems of the day, and you say, why am I thinking about that? Why is that a problem? What could I have done to make it better? What can I do tomorrow so that I won't deal with the same issue that I dealt with today? How do I eliminate the fear? Why was I afraid of that? So I'm saying that you have to turn it to the positives, but you start by acknowledging whatever occurred to you during the day, and you have to ask yourself, how do I fix that? And then you have to listen for that response that will tell you how to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at.
I created these 3 mantras and I speak them all day, every day. It's not a prayer. It's not affirmations. These are things that I say over my life every day. I say this when I wake up, when I first open my eyes. I say this before I go to bed at night. I don't play back anything that's happened in my life for the day. I just say these words and I tell my body that I'm thankful for it. And then I go to sleep. Mm-hmm. The mantra is this: I am healthy. Do you notice that powerful statement at the beginning? It's a statement of now. It's not I want to be healthy. I will be healthy. It's I am healthy. And when I say that, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I'm mentally healthy. I'm thinking that I'm physically healthy. And I'm thinking that I'm spiritually healthy. So when I say I'm healthy, I mean all aspects of my being. The other thing that I say is I am wealthy. And what that means to me, Michael, is that I have enough to do what I want to do when I want to do it in the moment of now. I don't think about anything else because you know what? I've laid by the bed. I've sat by the bed of men laying in the bed that were billionaires that were dying. And so I realized that money is not the most important thing on this planet at all because you're going to leave it behind anyway. So I make sure that prosperity to me is I'm able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And that's it. I let the universe do the rest. And the last thing I say to myself is, I am wise. And what that basically means to me is I am taking action on my knowledge. I'm doing things that I know I'm supposed to do. You see, people have a lot of knowledge. That means you know a lot. That doesn't mean you have wisdom. Wisdom means that you act on what you know. See, a lot of people know that they should be eating better, but they don't. That's not wisdom. A lot of people know that they should be exercising and taking better care of their bodies, but they don't. That's not wisdom. A lot of people know that they shouldn't be speaking negatively over their finances and believing negative things about their finances, but they don't. That's not wisdom.
Right.
You know, I tell you what, it's so funny because money is energy too.
Yep.
But
it's energy because we give it, but we do give it that power. We do give it that energy, and that's okay as long as we utilize it correctly.
Sure. Well, okay. So the question is, what is correctly?
Well, and that's something that your spirit will tell you.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's what's right for you. That's for sure.
So I think I agree with what you're saying. One of my favorite things, and I've said it several times on this podcast, is for years, I would always record my speeches, and at other times I would record things or I would do things and I would reflect on them at the end of the day. And I said I'd always did that because I'm my own worst critic. And only in the last 2 years have I realized wrong thing to say, because in reality, something I heard, and I'm trying to remember exactly where I heard it, but what I heard was that no one can teach you anything except you. You are the only person who can teach things. Oh, I think I remember where I heard it, but you are the only person who can teach you. Other people can present you with information, but you are the only person who can teach you. So now what I say regularly is not I'm my own worst critic. I reject that. I'm my own best teacher. But it's the same thing, but turned around in a much more positive and relevant way. And it
Absolutely.
makes a big difference in how you approach most anything that you do.
Well, that first statement you made was very disempowering.
Sure, it
The
was.
second statement you made was very empowering.
Exactly right.
So you
And
got a totally different response based off of
sure,
what you said.
right, which is, we all come to things in our own way and our own times, but I figured that out, so that's a good thing.
And you know what's so cool about that? That's the law of creation. So
Sure it
the
is.
great thing about that is that you can change that immediately. If you see something in your life that you want to change, you could change it immediately by the way you're speaking towards it.
Yep. And by the
It's
way you
it's
think about it and by the way you decide to deal with it.
exactly. And the thing is, it's real hard to change the way you think about it if you're speaking about it a certain way.
Yeah.
That's why words are so important. If you can just start speaking about it in a different way, then the whole situation and the whole energy of it will transform.
Well, Anthony, this has been great. We're going to have to end, but we'll have to do
I
another
don't
one
want
of
to end,
these.
Michael. I want to
I
stay here with you
know.
forever, man. I love talking to you.
Hey,
You are
we'll be here forever. We're around. We're not going anywhere. We're always together. But
Yeah,
we should do it
absolutely.
again.
Yes.
But I really appreciate you doing this. Have you written any books?
You know what, Michael? It's so awesome. I'm in the midst of writing a book right now. So
Oh, good.
It's called H3O, and it's just human optimization. It's the law. Basically, what I'm doing is I want to teach people the daily mechanics of how to strengthen your spirit, how to strengthen your mind and your body, because there are daily mechanics of things that you can do to maintain a very, very strong mind, a very, very strong spirit, and a body that's fully connected.
Well,
So, you know, I'd like to offer a gift to your audience if they, anyone
okay.
that would, anyone, and again, I've been doing this for quite a while, and there's no problem that you could bring to me that I haven't heard of or seen before. But, I want to offer a free 30-minute consultation call just to talk to people to find out what I could do to help.
And how do they take advantage of that?
The way they would do that is they could go to urh3o.com and schedule a call with me. Again, it's just a free call, just a chance for us to get to know each other. I'd like to know what your challenges are. I promise you at the end of that 30-minute call, we may even stay on the phone a little longer if you need to, but at the end of that call, you're going to be 100% clear about your issue. And you're
Now,
going to be real clear about what you need to do to actually overcome it.
URH3O is YOUARE H3O.
It's you as in the letter under. Excuse me. It's you as in
The
under.
letter U
Yes.
and the letter
The letter
R.
U as in under.
That's why I asked. I wasn't sure and I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure. So URH3O.com.
Yep. So
Well, I
it's
hope people.
U as in under, H as in Harry, R as in Ralph, 3, and then O as in Oscar. .com. URH3O.com.
So it's UH.
URH3O.
So URH3O. Okay.
Yes.
Letter U, the letter R, H3O.com.
That's how you contact me.
Great. Well, I want to thank you for being here, and I hope all of you took away a lot from this because there was a lot to take away and use. I'd love to ask you all to please reach out to Anthony, and I would love to hear from you to hear your thoughts on today. We really appreciate you doing that. And of course, as I always ask, and I mean it, I would really appreciate it if wherever you're experiencing this podcast, please give us a 5-star rating. If you know of anyone else who ought to be a guest, I would love to hear from you and from them. Introduce us. Anthony, same for you. If you know anyone, love to hear from anybody you want to introduce us to. We would love to have other people on.
Absolutely.
And and most of all, I hope everyone will go away from here and have a really great day. There was a lot to learn. And Anthony, I just want to thank you one more time for being here. This has been great.
Michael, thank you so much. And then a closing statement is this: you are more than enough. All your power is inside of you. Give me a call. Let's discover this. You were not created to struggle. I promise you, you were not created to struggle. Let me show you what you were created to do. You are a creator, and it's been an honor to spend time with you. It's been an honor to serve you. Live healthy, and God bless.